What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I want to break down what's going on with the overall market. I'm going to talk about what's happening with SPY, Tesla, Nvidia, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. Not to mention a big test that's coming, as we're going to be looking at some new data that's coming out. Not to mention a very, very important level for many of these different tickers. But just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15, and the offer ends very soon in just 3 days. Anyways, for the market, we saw a nice little pop after the PCE data report came out. We were expecting a little bit of a pop, and I mentioned to everyone in my intraday video that there could be a drop coming if we reject off resistance, and so far that's what the market ended up doing. So for now, the market looked kind of weak, especially as we got a red close and we're dropping even during the after hours, but we're just barely holding some supports on some of these tickers that I would really want to talk about. I'll talk more about them in just a few minutes. Just know a couple of things for next week. For next week, starting on Monday, September 30th, 2024, there's not much coming out. We just have some manufacturing numbers. Then we have Jerome Powell giving a speech on Monday. So look for high volatility towards the end of the day once Jerome Powell opens his mouth. For Tuesday, we have some ISM manufacturing numbers, not to mention the JOLTS job openings reports. That's going to be very important. So get ready for those jobs numbers and manufacturing numbers. For Wednesday, we have more data coming out. We have a bunch of these Fed speakers who are going to be giving us some speeches. And then for Thursday, we have the ISM services data followed by initial jobless claims. So the services numbers are going to be very important for that sector, followed by Friday's unemployment numbers coming out 1 hour before market opens. So Fridays when we have some very important jobs numbers like payrolls and unemployment. And most of the time, the market's going to be reacting to data. So get ready for that going into next week. For earnings, we're about to kick off the next cycle in earnings, but for just this week, we are starting off with just a few retail. We have like Nike, Levi's, and a few others, but nothing too crazy. But over the next couple of weeks, we will have more earnings coming out for Q3. So get ready for all of that, guys. It's going to be very, very important. Finally, we also have the market becoming very, very greedy. It's still at this greed. It hasn't really lost critical support yet for a lot of these different tickers. So we'll have to see if we can try to reclaim them or not. And whether we do or don't, the market could dip a little bit more before we do see an attempt to rebound, depending on how this ends up going. Momentum is still at greed as there's still some buyers present. The overall puts to call option ratio is at extreme greed. Usually, when we're at these extremes, the market does tend to form a top and we do tend to pull back a little bit. That is what this is suggesting so far. The VIX is also trying to rebound. We'll see if the VIX continues this trend, if it could try to break past our 50 daily moving average or not. But overall, there's an attempt to bounce on the VIX that's coming, so we'll see how it goes. So, what do I see for the markets, guys? The answer is we are looking kind of weak right now. There is a risk of us dipping lower. I mentioned to everyone that SPY has resistance at 573 to 575. We hit 573 rejected, hit 575 rejected, hit 574 rejected for the last week. So the question is, what's going to happen from here? Well, there's going to be a big test next week at our 20 EMA. This is going to be the 570.72 area. If we lose this, we're looking for a big jump all the way down to 568 and 565. If we hold this, we could try to rebound back up towards the 570s. But we're going to be testing this support. Look for a little bit of a dip tomorrow. Not tomorrow, sorry, on Monday. Sorry about that, guys. The market's going to be closed for the weekend. For next week, there's going to be a small dip coming. We'll have to see if we hold support or not. If we lose this, there's going to be a bigger drop coming all the way down to 568 or so. We look more bearish right now as we're making lower highs and lower lows for the last 2 to 3 days. So there's going to be a risk of this potentially coming down. So just be careful. This does not mean the market's crashing. It could just be a small pullback for the time being. What else is adding to the weakness in the market is ES. ES is losing its 20 EMA at 57.93. We need to reclaim this by the weekend. If not by Monday, we got to reclaim 57.93, or else this is at risk of dipping down to 57.80 and eventually all the way down to the mid 5700s. I think there's a risk of this dipping even more, so please be very mindful of that. We'll have to see how things end up going. For other factors out there, we also have Nvidia. We have a head and we have a head and shoulders like structure. We are kind of struggling to hold above our 20 EMA around this 121 area. If we reject here, we're looking for 118 as the main support. If we break through this, we're looking for 122. There's going to be a risk of Nvidia dipping, so please be open-minded for that. For Bitcoin is kind of in the middle right now. We're going to be looking at our support around the 65,500 area. And then we have resistance at 66,000. We're kind of stuck in between, going back and forth and back and forth. So we'll see if we get a small dip over here or not. We're just consolidating, so we have to wait and see how that goes. For Tesla, we look bullish because we held support, we rebounded very nicely. And there's going to be a lot of excitement approaching deliveries, so we could see Tesla attempt to break 260. If you hold above 260, look for 262 then 265 as our targets. And if that breaks, we're going up to 270. There is upside potential in Teslas. We held up nicely as we got some bullish news from Dan Ives, not to mention the fact that the Chinese interest rates are going to remain very low for Tesla. So Tesla's going to be charging low interest rates, and they have a lot of potential for this quarter. And there's a lot of excitement and hype approaching the event. The Q3 deliveries report that's coming out on October 2nd, I believe, around that time. So there's going to be some hypes that could help Tesla push a little bit higher into the 260s. It has some upside potential. NQ is dipping. We're actually losing our 20 EMA. This is a sign of weakness. We are at risk of dipping down towards the 20,000 area. There is a risk of downside. For the QQQ, we got to hold above 485.94. If we lose this going into Monday, we're at risk of dipping all the way down to 482, then 480. But then we could bounce closer to 480. Could be a small bounce before we, a small dip before we try to bounce. Apple could be testing 226.95. If that fails us, we're looking for 225. Could be a small dip before it attempts to bounce all over again, but it's doing just fine. For the IWM, we are in the middle. We're looking at support at 220. If that fails us, we're looking for 218. We'll see if we bounce off one of those levels. Look at 220 to see if this holds. We could dip a little bit lower, so we'll see how that holds up. For others out there, we have Coin. Coin is trying to break out right now. If we manage to break past the resistance up here at this 195 area, we're going to be looking for a bigger push. Still looks kind of bullish to me, so we'll see if it tries to go a little bit higher, but I think it will eventually retest 188, so maybe it goes a little bit higher to 192, if not 195, before it comes down to 188. I'll be watching for that. For Amazon, we're showing some weakness because we're below our 50 EMA, so we got to reclaim 188s to get back up to 191. If we fail to do so, we're looking for a move back down towards 185. For Meta has kind of like a head and shoulders like structure. If we end up losing 564, we're looking for a dump all the way down towards 560. If we hold this, we could rebound. I'm seeing some weakness here, so we could be dipping a little bit. For Microsoft is dipping right now. We are on the verge of dipping lower, so we're going to be looking for basically this 426 area, followed by 424. I think we could dip a little bit more on Microsoft. We look kind of weak right here. And Google's indecisive. Now, one thing that's not so good is the fact that we're not holding above 165. We need to hold above this to rebound for 167. If we don't hold this, we're at risk of dipping down to 163.94. So I'll be watching to see if that ends up being the case. With that being said, guys, I want to conclude the video from here. I'll be going over a lot more tickers on my Sunday video. Tomorrow, I'll release a video about like seasonality for the markets again. So I have a seasonality video for Saturday, and then for Sunday, I'll be talking about all the tickers like I usually do with Palantir, Nvidia, and all the others that people are interested in. So until then, I just want to say I really appreciate you guys so much for listening. I want to make this video nice, short, sweet, and simple as the weekend is coming up. I will see you guys again tomorrow, hopefully. Hopefully it's during the daytime. We'll see what time I'm available. But expect a video. I should be trying to upload another one. Until then, I thank you for listening. Please have a great weekend. Enjoy your Friday. Enjoy what life has to offer. And I'll see you guys again tomorrow. Thank you for listening, and peace out.